Hey guys, welcome back in. Gonna continue this Stasis device farm. I did get the first base built last night. Was the circuit board. So today will be living glass. I should load in on the planet I already need, so this one shouldn't require too much work either. Luckily, I did delete the oxygen and the cobalt hotspot I had here. So, right. That's always fun. Keep doing that game. Kind of looking around by my hotspots here. That should be my electrical right here. Just want to verify that real quick. Alright, and what I'm looking for is my beacons. Where are my beacons? It's going to be sulfurine over there. And phosphorus over there, so I will have to stretch one of these. What I want to do is I want to just go into my camera real quick. I like to build in kind of a flat open area, so right in this area I think we'll be fine. Maybe over towards where that broken machinery is. You have to take into account that the width of this is about the width of 4 prefabs snapped together, so so I don't want to end up like building into that hill, that hilly area. So I'll go kind of over in this area. Most likely to be my best bet. So I probably will have to stretch both of these. That one just barely. But actually, I'm just gonna move my computer afterwards. That way I only have to stretch one of these, so toss my computer here for now. I might just leave the computer here, I don't know. So, clean that. Alright. Figure out where I want to put the actual base itself. A lot of times I'll use these, what do they call them here? These cuboid frames, just so I can get a basic idea of how big this is going to be. I want to try not to build directly on the ground or, you know, up too high. So for some reason lately, when you warp into the system or into the base, things have been getting kind of wonky. So, while you keep falling through the floor, I'm just going to kind of map out. That's going to be... Okay, so I'm going to have plenty of room on the sides here. I'm just trying to make sure I don't, like, dig into the, into that hill or anything. Should be fine. I'm actually going to drop this down a little bit and also do that. All I do is just use these. You can use a block or whatever too, but I do a cache glitch there. And what I'll do is I'll drop that down a couple more. That way it can sink into the ground a little bit. If I can do a glitch, that is. For some reason the first glitch never sticks for me. like that. Oh, I didn't mean to do that though. Try this again. You know what, I'm just gonna use it. No. What do I want here? That way it's sunk into the ground a little bit. I don't want to go lower than that. Yeah, there we go. Actually, I think I will get my electricity out of the way. I need about 1,200. 1,200K for my electric. So I just want to try to get as close as I can. I try to get about 100, you know, the most I can out of this. Try to get the best reading I can. It doesn't have to be like dead on, but I like to try to be as close as I can. So, if I check this, should be pretty close. What, 39%, something like that. Okay. Alright, so that'll work. If I do my math right, I should need, I can get by with 7 of these because I only need to do 14 biodomes on this one. But I'd like to give myself a little bit extra. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to build 7, and if that isn't enough, I can always add 1 more. What I like to do, I like to just stick them on a cube. This is just how I like to do it. So bury the cube down a little bit. Just give it a color. Oh, actually, I don't even have to do that. Just go right to there. Can't get my fingers to work this morning. There we go. Now I have a glitch point for that. And all I do is glitch in my generators. I got enough to build 18 of these, so let's build 7 right here. Now the good thing about putting them all in the same spot is I don't have to run wires between them or anything, so that saves me some building parts right there. I always just test this to make sure. Yeah, I should get around like 1,100 out of this, so 10,000. which I think should be plenty. I'll just get rid of that. Do a quick save. Alright, now sulfurine. Like, even though I'm like gonna be right at the border with that, I still want to put a couple walls over towards this, just so the boundary's definitely stretched out. Get kind of close to this. That can be a nuisance. Alright. So I can still build here, but it's gonna run out shortly here. Oh, not as far as I thought. Yeah. So I lost my permissions there. But I still want to put a few walls back here, just in case something goes kind of wonky while I'm building. I like to do this just to make sure nothing happens. Alright, so scan for this. Oh, this is an S-Class. That's right. Yeah, I ended up with 2 S-Class hotspots here. I think the other one was Cobalt. But it wouldn't have... I would have had to stretch really far to get to that. I'm gonna have to stretch to get to it anywhere, but I like this planet more for the space. And I don't need like 100% here or anything. I just want to try to get, you know, right there's 100. But if I put down a extractor, it's not even going to be close. So I'm just going to do the same thing. I'll build like a little platform. Actually, bring that down a little. I don't like to have my stuff like hovering in the air. So put up like a little floor here. Let's see if I can get a good number again. And you can get 100%, it just takes a lot of just tinkering around. And it's not really worth it, so as long as I can get like 2 or 3% under the maximum, I'm normally good with it. Unless I'm going to build like a gold farm or something like that, where I'm going to use it only for money. Alright, now I just want to test that. I can figure out what screen I'm in. Alright, 98% is more than enough. It's plenty. So. And because there's been an issue lately with silos not filling up, I'm actually, instead of putting all these on one single spot, I'm gonna just raise them up a little bit. I'll just go with a wall height on these. So, put a wall there. And have one on this side as well. And I think that's probably going to end up flipping this thing around. I can never get these going the right direction. Yeah, that flipped it around. So what I'm going to want to do is start at the back side. Try to make it look a little bit better. The other farm I didn't care, but okay. So I want to start at that side. I'm gonna end up having 4 extractors here. I can probably get by with 1 or 2 extractors and be fine, but I like having an even number, so I prefer to do 4 extractors. That way I get an even 8,000 instead of, 8,250 or 8,500, whatever. We'll color that just for the heck of it. Put in my other. Whoa! Why is that upside down? And that's upside. What the heck? How in the hell did that happen? I kinda like it though. Not gonna lie. Did they do something weird with these? I have not seen that happen before. I kinda like it, but I don't want it like that. I don't know why it's doing that. I'm gonna do it a different way. The heck with it. Try this a different way. Just have to figure out which way this thing faces. Go in, do a cache glitch. Okay, so I want that to be facing right. Now that I know what direction I want to flip that so I don't have to keep looking. So put these in. Oops. All right. Oh my God. I'm using a new controller, so key presses feel a little sharp. Alright, so that's all those. Yeah, normally I try to go make them so they all face the same direction. Just, it looks cleaner. Wire it up. And put in my pipe. Yeah, like all your pipes will be on the same side and everything. And again, you can do this without glitch building too. You just stack one on top of the other. Alright, so that'll be, those will be all set. And I always make a save after I do it, just so in case anything does happen, I don't have to start all over. Now, phosphorus, I will need a stretch for that. There it is. At least I won't have to stretch too far. It's only a couple hundred units. Alright, so where am I at? Get down into here, then I think I'm gonna have to start stretching. I'm having the hardest time seeing that thing. So what I can do is I can tag it, makes it stand out a little bit more. I should lose my building permissions here. There we go. So I do have to stretch 400 units. What I'll do is I try to stay in line with my base computer, and also that way I can kind of get the straightest line I can. And I use wood for this typically. What I'll do is I'll put 2 walls here, and then what I do is I go over to the sides. I did that 2 walls just so I know where my boundary ends, and I try to keep 1 wall in the center, and then I go left and right. It just increases my radius a little bit. It's not by much, but if any of these get kind of wonky on the way back, you know, if you go a little bit too far to the left or to the right or whatever, sometimes it will break the connection. So I just do this to give myself a little more breathing room. And I try to space these out at a pretty decent amount, but not too far. And I'm just using the little build camera exploit thing to go out further than I normally could. Like on PC, you can use a mod that gives your camera a lot more range, but on console you can't. If you double tap your camera when you're in camera mode, you can kind of expand your build-in range. You don't want to go too far though, because you do risk of falling through the terrain. I'm pretty sure the game will catch it, but there is a chance you could fall all the way down. I've had it happen in the past. Not in a long time though. I think I've gotten a lot better at it. Just a little bit more. Now with phosphorus, I only need 1250 in order to do all the devices, so again, I'm just going to do 1 extractor and 1 silo for this. So it doesn't take much setup time. But I do the same thing with all my extractors when I need carbon. Oh boy. I knew I was going to run out of it at some point. What I can do is I have a storage container. I know what storage container my carbon's in, and I don't have to run power to this or anything. If I go into my inventory, I got all these friggin' beacons here now. Alright, if I go into my inventory, and down the bottom where it says transfer items, if I go transfer items, I can go over to my storage container, and there's my carbon and condensed carbon. Oh, I don't know. I don't have much carbon at all, but I can just drag it in here. I think that'll be enough for me anyway. What I am gonna do is I'm gonna break down some of that. Oh. Break down some of that. Then I can just delete my container. Yeah, I knew I was gonna have to build a bunch of these, and I realized it last night. I never brought any more over. Yeah, on the last base, I'm gonna have to do a lot of stretching, so I know I'm gonna need a lot of carbon for that. Because typically, I like to keep when I do this stuff, I like to make sure I keep my my walls in place until I'm done. Typically, delete my walls is like the last thing I do. That way, if anything is weird with, you know, losing connections or whatever, that way I don't have to redo this whole part again. Yeah, you know, stretching one or two of these isn't a problem, but when you're stretching like 5 different hotspots, it can be a real pain. You're gonna worry about pipes overlapping and stuff like that. So I'll do a quick scan here. This is only a C class, but that don't matter. Alright, phosphorus. Alright, I'll do the same type of deal. Put a couple floors here until I can find a good spot. This just helps to keep, you know, it's just easier to scan it like this, as opposed to being uneven. So, about 39 there. Put a wire right between my legs. Drag it out. Now I'll double check on this, see what it looks like. And I got enough to build 6 of these, but I only need 1. And most of the time half the time I don't even care what way these are facing, but it is nice if they're facing the right way. Sometimes I bury them in the ground too, so that's all scanned. So I'm just gonna drop this down. This will be floating in the sky a little bit, but nobody's ever gonna see that. Alright, so we'll get that out of the way. Actually move this too. Now switch that on. Good enough. And actually, if I wanted to make it a little more fancy, I can do a block underneath it, or I can actually expand it down if I want. Actually, I think I will. I do this. Do the same thing that I just did with the walls. But bring it down just a little bit. As long as you delete that, like, little cross one, you shouldn't get anything that's angled. If you leave that one that's crossed like that, you'll get an angle, which you typically don't want. Alright. Now I know I'm not going to have to do anything. I have to put more extractors here or anything, so I'm just going to delete my centering wire. I just do that to save on base parts, so that's all set. I'll do a quick save here. Now what I'm going to want to do is, my base is 750 U away. Okay. So about every 150 U, I'm going to stop and dig a hole. I'm just doing this to make it look better. Typically, I'd rather not run stuff on the surface if I can help it. But when I get over here to 600 units, I'm gonna dig a hole. A little bit more. Alright, so I'll dig a hole here. It doesn't have to be super deep or anything. I just like to go deep. It just helps me, you know, keep the wires and stuff underground as far as I can. What I'll do is I got that there, and I use these roof parts as kind of like a little indicator of where that hole is. So I'll go and I'll do that. And actually, let me grab this carbon out of here before I forget it's in there. Okay, so 600. So when I do the same thing at like 450 U. And I'm trying to stay kind of in line with that center wall too. Granted, I'm off to the side a little bit, but that's okay, as long as I'm close to it. Because you can stretch 200 units doing it that way, you know, for your pipe and your wire, but I prefer to do it about 150, 170. So, I'm gonna dig another hole. Now, if I was getting a bunch of supplies as well, like I had a bunch of silos, you could actually just stick a silo down in there and just tie right into it. Or, you know, put a group of them together or whatever. But because I'm only going to have the one silo, I'm just going to skip all that part. Alright, so... Wait, what was that? 450, so I want to be right around 300. This will be actually where my border is. Stick another one here. Yeah, I just do this so that I can see it easily. I know right where I'm going. Especially if I'm using like the building camera thing. I just realized I didn't put one here, so backtrack. Eventually you'll run into it, but at least leaving these here, you can see them at a distance. That's what I like to do. Alright, should have one more. Oh, the last one I try to get a little bit further, you know, a little bit closer to the building if I can, but it's not like a huge deal. I like to keep things within like 100, 150 U away. So, see, like this one, it's kind of tricky because I could put it right here, and I could sink it down deep and it would probably be fine. But I'm gonna go a little bit closer. Yeah, that should be fine. Because that gives me about another, it'd be like 30 closer than normal, but I'll end up putting it here. That way I know for sure everything's going to be deep enough. There is a camera exploit you can use. I'm going to charge this again. There is a camera exploit you can use to see underneath the map. You can do it that way as well. I just prefer this way because it's a little more precise. Like if I go down here, let's see if I can get, oh, that's not really going to work for me. Get back up here. You go into your build camera, and hopefully this will work. You kind of exit out of it, and it will put you under the map. Yeah, not going to work for me here. Do it on this side. Yeah, you have to be lower than the terrain, and your camera will pull you under. So that's the tunnel I just built. If I look back, there's the other one. So you can tie in a little bit quicker with them. I just typically don't bother doing it though. now that I know I have power over here, what I'm actually gonna do, where's that frame? Alright. I'm gonna put power underneath this. In order to do that, I'm just gonna do a copy of that and go underneath, do a wire glitch so that I have just the wire under there in the ground. Just stretch it right over to here. I'll stretch towards the back side, or wherever you want. I'm actually gonna put it down here so it's actually underground a little bit. Just tie it right in. So now I know I have power here. So, and it is down there somewhere. For some reason they keep messing around with how wires work, so sometimes you have to kind of dick around until you can get it to show back up. I wish they'd stop breaking stuff like this. Sometimes if you're a little further away, it'll show up. Alright, I'm gonna move this up so I don't accidentally delete that. See if I can tie into it that way. Nope, doesn't want to. Alright. See if I can glitch underneath. Not gonna. I thought maybe it wouldn't send me through the top of that. Alright. Do this a different way. Alright, now I know the wire's there. And that should tie right in. Let me just make sure. Okay, yeah, see, it is powered, so. That should connect right on that same point. I'll go right over that hole that I dug, that I didn't mark. I'll go and terminate a wire there. Actually, see if I can do this. Alright. It's hard to see at nighttime. What I'll do is try to stretch all the way over to that other one. See, it's really easy to get knocked out of your camera view when you're doing this. You know, if any animals hit you or you don't click your button quick enough, you can get kicked out. Just takes a little practice. Okay, this one. Now if I go back and look in these tunnels, I'll see a wire down there. And what I'll do is I'll run this right over to the extractor, which I think I can see. See, when you get really long stretches like this, the game doesn't really like it, so sometimes it'll pull you out of camera view. I think this is probably the longest stretch I've ever done. So it's kind of a risk. See, my connection's too long. Why is it doing that? I might run into an issue on the way back with my pipe. What I'm using are my walls. That's kind of a reference point of where I am. Oh, and I got a cave right under me too. Alright, I should hit an electric thing here any second. There we go. So that's all tied in, and it's running. So that's all set. What I want to do, I'm gonna risk it. I'm gonna do, you know, it's gonna kick me out. Alright. What I am gonna do while I'm here, though, is I'm gonna make a quick save. And I've actually got to go fix myself a coffee. We'll fix the coffee and then I'll come back. I thought about running the pipe there, but I just realized I don't have silos in place, so I don't want to do that all at once. So I'll be back, work on the sulfuring, then I'll start putting the structure itself together. So I'll be back. coffee is done. I think what I'll do is I'll put up the prefab, that way I can get my silos in place, and that way I can just run the sulfurine straight to the silo. Get these how I want them. So yeah, I'm just going to start off with a prefab. I hate using prefabs, but for projects like this, it makes it a lot easier. Because this is kind of an orangey type planet, I'm gonna let me go with bright orange with rust. Put that in place. And typically, I don't like to put in my landing pad right away because a lot of times NPCs will pull up, and it's just annoying having them there. So all I'm going to do is just put on a basic door for now. Alright. And I'm going to want to shrink down those silos a little bit so they're not sticking all the way through the roof. So typically, you know, if you go down, you know, right around there is going to be fine, but I try to make them so that they're like, you know, like 2/3 of the size, something like that. So what I do is I take 2 lockers, I stack 2 on top, and I'll bring out a 1/3 and kind of eyeball it. It doesn't have to be exact or anything. Now my silos, I can still make 22 of them, so I'm doing all this without like, you know, glitching stuff in. You know, as long as I can build it, I can glitch it in, but I'm not doing it to get free parts or anything. So I'll make a silo there. I'll just kind of stick it over here in the corner. Try to get it somewhat in the middle. Just copy it and make another one over here. Alright. And what I want to do is I want to get in here and see how these are going to act when I interact with them. I want them to send me through the wall, but I don't want them to spin me around. It's just one of my pet peeves. See, like that sent me straight through, which is what I'm looking for. I want to see if this one's going to do the same. See, that one whipped me around, so I want to spin that. I don't know why it does that, but that's another thing I wish they'd fix on this. I have a whole laundry list of stuff that irks me about this game. Alright, see, that one sent me straight through as well. So hopefully these should be all set. I always check them. See, sometimes it still does it. It's like the game forgets what the orientation is on them. What I do want to do is I want to color this one though. Color that one green. Color this one orange. That way you can tell what they are pretty easily. And hopefully I can get power down here. See, there is a power cord down there, but some reason they messed around with they messed around with wires a while back, like a year ago now, and they make it so it's a kind of a pain to get the connectors to show up. So, all right, at least I got some power there now. I think I'm just gonna run the pipe directly over to the phosphorus. That way it's out of the way. So that way I don't have to mess around over there. And while it's daylight too, it makes it a lot easier to see what you're doing. So I'm just going to connect to the outside of that. I'd like to come down somewhat straight. Then I'll Make my way over. See, like, I could see the hole there, but at nighttime it'd be more difficult to see. So all I do is I bring my pipe down, make another connection. I'll just continue all the way down until I find that next hole. See, I could do this underground like I did with the wire, but sometimes it's faster just to do this. Especially if you have a bunch of different areas you have to get to. Because you always risk getting kicked out of the build camera when you do it like that. And then you have to kind of start over again, and sometimes you can't connect to your pipe or your wire. So it's always safest just to walk it over. Yeah, and when I get to the hole, I just go into build camera, place it down, and then connect to it again right away. Because it was right around the same time that we were starting to have that wire issue. Like you could lay a wire on the ground and then walk away, and then you couldn't connect to the wire again for some reason. You'd eventually be able to, but you had to sit there for like, you know, a good 5 minutes just trying to connect to the stupid thing. So, this is going to tell me that the connection is too long. I knew one of these was a little bit off. Yeah, right there. Must have had a different number in my head when I was doing that. So connect again, back out. I think that was the last one. I just kind of walk, just kind of keep towards that middle wall, and everything should line up. Alright, well, that's good enough. Because nobody's going to see that little bit, you know, kicking out there. What I could have done was I could have made a small termination point here, and then just ran it up. It still would have stuck up a little bit, though. It still would have stuck up right here, so not a big deal. Alright, now head on back. Yeah, and after I do that, I always check the final silo, just make sure the numbers add up and everything. It's like, I know this one's only going to be 1250, but I just want to make sure everything's connected, there's power to it, I got the appropriate readout. Because sometimes you'll get a readout, like if something is bugged somewhere in the line, you'll get a really weird number. It'll be a number that you can't possibly get. It'll be like, you know, 20-something thousand of a unit or something like that. But now that I know everything's connected, it'd take about 5 hours to fill. So, but that's okay, because it takes 16 hours to build these, so I'm just going to leave those cabinets there for now. Yeah, I do want to put down like a save point here, though. Normally I have a save point right at the base, that way I save as I go. Now that sulfurine, that's pretty close, so I'm gonna put my silos in place now. That way I can just tie right into it and won't have to mess around too much. So I'm gonna get about 150 out here. So yeah, right about here. I'm gonna dig a hole. I'm gonna do the same thing, go as deep as I can. But down here, I want to put down some floors. You can do this without floors, I just do it because it's easier for me. just to get things so they kind of line up and look good. So I'll put down a few floors. Typically I'll do something kind of like this. Now I know I'm going to need 6 silos in here, so what I'll do is typically I get like 3 or 4 that are nice and straight. Alright, and I'll just do a couple over here. What I want to do is I want to be able to delete all these floors when I'm done, so I try to make sure that I can actually delete them. It's not a huge deal, it's only 1 or 2 pieces, but do something like that. And then I make sure to put pipe on them right away so I don't forget. Alright, so those are all piped in. What I'll do is on this one, I'll grab the pipe right there, back out of my build camera, then I'll walk this back to the base. I'm gonna have to charge my stuff here. Alright, so... Whoops. Almost went to the wrong one, that would have been bad. Alright, so I'll just put down a pipe here, run it up into there, and charge my stuff.
Technology recharge. Technology recharge.
Alright, that's sticking out a little bit, but nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to see that. So. And actually, while I'm here, smart thing would be to grab power again. I think I'm just going to grab power from here, if I can. See, it still doesn't want me to connect to that. Oh, there we go. There's my wire. I'm going to grab my wire. That way I'm not wasting time going back and forth. I'm doing something each time I leave the base. So, put my wire in here. Do the same thing. Run power right over to those. And then I'll run pipe back to those silos. And that will be all hooked up. What I might actually do is terminate here. But you don't have to do all this other termination stuff. I just like to try to hide as much as I can. I'll just tie that into the back. Grab my pipe. Do the same thing. I'd like to have my wire and my pipe kind of in the same hole when I do this. Now I'll tie that back in. There's my stuff. Alright, so that should all be terminated. I just always like to try to double check, make sure I actually have power to stuff. Sometimes it's hard to see with these, because there's that little indicator on it, but sometimes it doesn't like to show up, especially because the pipe is in front of it. I want to make sure they're all running. I'll head back down here. I'll check the silo that's in the base. Just to make sure, again, I got the right count and everything. Alright, there's my 8,000. You notice these silos colored themselves again. That's another thing that for some reason is broken. Alright, so that'll be all set. I'll do a save. Alright. And I'm confident with how these are hooked up, so I'm just going to go and delete everything, these floors. So, if I can find, see, this is why I like to put those roof pieces, because now I'm looking around for that that hole that I dug. There it is. Just got to be careful when you do this. You don't want to accidentally delete anything, you know, your wire or your pipe. So just delete your floors, go nice and slow. Those are all gone. So then just fill it back in. If you fill in from the bottom, that way you fill in as much as you can. That way you're not just putting a thin layer of ground there. You're not, yeah, you're actually filling it in. And I'm actually gonna delete these other walls. And my beacon. Alright, so that part is all set. Now I'm gonna go back on the other side and do the same thing for the phosphorus. So I shouldn't need to... Like, if I had to go leave this system now, I probably wouldn't do it, but I do like to try to periodically upload this. I always check to make sure Discovery services are active when I do that. It doesn't make a huge difference, but if you want people to be able to visit or whatever, you just want to make sure you do your uploads. I have phosphorus around here somewhere. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fill these in as I go. That way I don't forget to do it. And then on the way back I'll delete all my walls. Typically what I'll do with those, where I bury those silos and stuff, like this is only one silo, so I'm not worried about it. But if I had put silos in all these holes, I would put down a plant, or, you know, some type of marker so I know that there's a silo there. You can use the camera exploit, though, to delete them if you have to, or to update them or whatever. So there are ways to work around knowing where your silos are, but I'm just so used to like this older style of building that I like to know where everything is buried or whatever if I can't see it. I like to be able to just run right there and take care of it. So I would typically use a plant that doesn't belong there, or, you know, something that is out of place. That way I know there's something underneath there. Alright, so that's all set. So I'm just going to start deleting these walls out. Get rid of, actually, do a quick save at this. Just in case something goes wrong. Pick that up. And just start deleting these walls. And because I know I put 3 in each row, I can just go back and forth. That way, hopefully I don't miss any. You do want to be really careful. Like, if you don't bury your pipes, you want to be really careful at your middle wall. You know, if there's a pipe there or something, you don't want to accidentally delete that pipe or wire. Make my way back. Delete these as I go as well. And a lot of times I'll expand my camera too, to get some of these. Especially if you have a really long run, it gets kind of annoying because you can only delete like 9 walls at a time. So, get rid of these. Yeah, like the last space is going to be a good challenge because it's all, I have to stretch for, I believe, all 5 hotspots, so I'll end up using a lot of carbon over there to do that. Alright, so, because I had those 2 walls sticking there, I know this is the end of the boundary, so there's no more walls, but I always do another look just to make sure I didn't miss any along the way. Typically they stick out pretty well, so should be all set. I'll get back over here. My marker. Say something's weird there. Weird because you're going the wrong way. Alright. Get back here. Start putting this stuff together. And again, those recolor themselves again. I don't get. Just double check these. And everything still looks good, so I'm going to step out for a few minutes and I will start throwing together the biodomes. Yeah, I'll get over. I'm gonna have to bring in my ship and all that stuff too, and get some frost crystal out of my storage. So, give me like 5 minutes. I will be right back. Alright, guys. About that. I also had to bring up my little cheat sheet of the stuff I'm gonna need. I'm gonna get the biodomes and stuff in place here. And just kind of walk through that part again. On my last base, I need to do calculations on my oxygen, cobalt, and carbon. So I gotta figure out how I'm gonna do the mixture of that. I think I'm gonna be fine with only 3,000 oxygen and 1250 cobalt. I think that number is still right. I just have to figure out the combination when combining the oxygen with the cobalt and carbon, and then starting the loop. Because what you do is you make a stack of the condensed carbon, ionized cobalt, and then you keep feeding oxygen into it. So I just have to figure out how many steps and how much to start off with. So I'll have to do that. I'll try to do that this evening. That way I can start building that other farm. So let's see here. Time to lay this out. So with this, I'm gonna stick with that orange color rust. What you do is you do 2 straight connectors. And a T connector. And 2 more of these. And 1 more of those. That's going to be the whole setup. For the bottom row anyway. Then I'm going to do the same thing. Actually, snap those 2 off for right now. Then take a wall, put a wall there, put a wall there. And put one of these. Alright, then I can just take that out and replace that. Alright. So that's pretty much going to be the whole thing. I'll get my biodomes in place, and I should have enough for... Okay, I got plenty. Got a ton of glass. Yeah, on this farm I only need 14 biodomes. So I'm only going to have 3 on the top of each of these. I just try to make them uniform. You know, I'll skip like this back one or something on each side. Alright, so those are all laid out and ready to go. But what I want to do also is I just want to verify that I can't plant any frostwork, and I can't, which is good. What I am going to do though, I need to bring in my ship that has all my plants in it. Just stick it over here somewhere. Actually, put it behind the base, that way it won't be in the way of the landing pad. Yeah, there'll work. And now because the rest of my frostworth, actually let me just make sure again that I can't plant anything. Yeah, I like to just double check this stuff so that nothing goes wonky. I still can't build any. So what I'm going to do is I'm bringing my storage container. Luckily, like when you rename these, they tell you what you renamed them as. So I know that my plants are in number 6. Typically that would be correct, but I was a moron and I stuck them in the storage bay 0. I wasn't thinking when I did that. So, just run power to that. You don't need to run power to these, you can just transfer it over like I showed earlier with the carbon. But with this, because there's so many different stacks, it's just quicker to copy them over like this. So I'm going to have 3,200 of this, and I also want to take that dioxide that's in here. Yeah, 1,600, alright. Then I'll delete that so nothing gets confused. So now if I look at my frost worth, I should be able to plant all 64 with no problem. So what I'm going to start off with, I always go to my biggest plant first, so I'm going to go with gamma root. And I just want to verify the amount of one. I need more gamma root. Why is that off?
Temperature levels stabilizing.
Alright, we gotta look at that. Something got missed somewhere. So I'm gonna have to get 100 more gamma root from somewhere. I probably just did my numbers wrong. Go to my ship. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. $6,400, which is what I should have. I wonder if I don't have enough uranium. I bet that's the problem.
Protection falling.
Oh, it'll be in my ship anyway. Oh yeah, somehow my uranium got messed up. I need 3,200 uranium. Wonder if I should have some in my storage. I'm just going to stick it in here for right now. But even if I have too much of that, I should be fine as long as my plants match. Okay, 128. Exactly what I want. So. And last is going to be Fecium, so check on that. And 32. Perfect. Alright. So, do a quick save, just so everything's locked in, and start planting some gamma weed. You need a lot of gamma weed on this, so I do the same thing. I start right at my door, and work my way around. Do it one spot at a time so I can't miss anything. Alright, so that one's done. I would like to be able to glitch all these in, but it's actually faster just to go and plant them. Because it's not like you're making a lot of stasis devices or anything, you're only making 16, so... If you're making, you know, like 64 or something, I would glitch them in. Because your inventory is so limited on Permadeath that it's hard to do you know, too big of a farm. Alright, so those two are done. Yeah, like on normal mode, you can do a ton of these. I think the biggest one I ever built was, I think it was a 96 stasis devices. Just something I wouldn't do again. It was a nightmare. I ran into a spot where I ran out of building parts while doing it too. Alright, so those 4 are done. And what I tend to do is I like to plant everything like on the side, or I put all my gamma root over here and then use the other side for other stuff typically. So what I'm going to do is just copy the setup I had down there, just to get my biodomes in place. And copy my biodome. I'm going to leave the outside one free, because I don't need that. Just go through and carefully delete these so you don't delete anything else. And I always leave this one here as kind of a backup in case something goes wrong. So, and then continue my gamma. Still have 65 to plant, so. So there'll be a little bit of overflow here onto the other side, but it won't be very many plants. Maybe a couple of stragglers, that's about it. But this is helpful if you do find yourself needing a bunch of gamma root at some point, and you're still, you still have like 10 hours or whatever before you can do stasis devices, you can always come back here and loot all this, and it'll grow back in time for you to do your devices. The same thing on the other farm with the Frostworth. You can, because you can get Frostworth every hour, so if you need a bunch of glass or whatever, you can just rob all the Frostworth out of it and make your glass while you're waiting for the other plants to grow. So they're really like multi-function farms. Alright, toss the rest in here. Again, I'm not going fast doing this, I just want to make sure everything gets planted. You don't want to accidentally miss a slot or whatever. Alright, that's all set. Now I still got 17 more gamma that I gotta do, so I'm gonna put the rest in here. And for some reason I got one extra gamma. Those are all planted. Okay, I'm missing one right there. And say, why am I missing one? Alright. After I'm done planting them, I always do a save just to make sure everything's stuck. And now I'll do 64 Frostworth. Get that out of the way. Yeah, so these things can come together pretty quickly. Once you do a few of them, you kind of learn how to lay them out. You can build these farms pretty quickly. The only one that actually takes any real time is going to be the last one, where you have all your your mixing stations, your refiners, stuff like that. Those take a little more planning. And that's like the more unique base anyway. Like that one's not going to be prefabs, that one's going to be built with regular pieces. You can use like the prefab snap together cuboids and come up with some pretty nice stuff, but I prefer to use regular base building parts. Alright, so that's it for that one. And yeah, I save a lot, so in case you guys didn't notice. So I'll just do the same thing on this side. And I'll leave that back one empty like before. Put in 3 more biodomes. And come through, delete that top row. And leave that one there just in case. And finish off with the Frostworth. I think I only get 16 more. Yep, 1 biodome. That one I'll probably just use on its own over here. Alright, so that's the end of that. Yeah, and again, you can come back to this farm anytime, and you know, you don't want to mess up your other growing cycles, but you can come back and grab, you know, these last 2 biodomes. Well, these last 3 biodomes are just going to be Frostworth, so you can harvest 3 of those every hour if you want. You know, it's a good way to just get a bunch of glass. Alright, now last 2 biodomes are just going to be gut rot, so get these all planted. Yeah, like the one that holds back this farm, I think it's going to be the gamma weed. I think that takes 8 hours. So you could actually do, you can do a couple living glass runs a day, and then 1 stasis device run every day too, if you want. Most of the time, I'm not on that often to do it, but you could totally do that twice a day. Circuit board you can't, because the cactus takes 16 hours. And let me make sure. Okay, yeah, and all those plants are done, so do a quick save here. Why don't I have a door on that side? What in the heck? That's off by a little bit or something. Alright. Something got screwed up there. Alright, so those should be all set. These should read alright. Yep, my phosphorus. Sulfurine. Those should be good to go. go and make that door orange and rusty as well. Toss on a landing pad. There. And I'd like to have a storage container in here as well. Just so people can get have a little bit of overflow. Oh, that's gonna keep trying to do that, isn't it? Yeah. That way people are low on inventory space, they can toss stuff in there. And move this back a little bit. And put in my teleporter. We need to be able to do like a fine rotation. That should be see if I can find my base computer. Oh, I can delete that beacon also. Alright. Where's my base computer? Oh, it's inside my biodome. Nice. And I like to kind of keep these towards the doors, that way. Because sometimes people show up and it won't be powered or something like that. So if you interact with the base computer and then teleport or then reload, typically power will come back on. Alright. I'll do the same thing as I did with my other base. I'll name it Stasis. Living glass. And then the total. Quick little screenshot. And probably won't stick though. Alright, and upload. And again, I always check to make sure that's active, so of that they should be all set. It'd be nice if my silos would stop recoloring themselves, but what I want to do is just teleport over to my other Stasis Farm. Because I want to see how I load into this one as well. Because I'm going to end up landing on the ground over here, I know it already. But with this base, because it's so close to the ground, it might not do that. Alright, it's load me in like normal. That'll end up changing, I'm sure. But as you see, like, these are pretty much done. Still got little time on these though. Yeah, I still got an hour left on those. So I'll end up doing a full run of these just to show how easy it is to get this stuff together. But your star bramble, that has a short grow life too. So you can always, you know, use these farms um, in between cycles to get other stuff. Like star bramble is only, oh, that's 4 hours. I didn't think that was that long. I thought that was like 90 minutes. Yeah, the cactus really slows things, or cactus and the, yeah, that's 16 hours. Solar vine 16 hours as well. So pretty much the only thing you're going to be able to harvest in between here is going to be star bulb and frost crystal. But the good thing about the frost crystal is even if you hit that bottom trigger, it'll still harvest these without messing up the others. So you'd still be able to get 2 biodomes worth of frost crystal, which can be helpful. Give you a little bit of glass. So I always like to just double check things. You know, like paraffinium, that's all set. Your nitrogen's going to be all set. So I'll just warp over to the other base. I just want to see how I load in here. Hopefully it doesn't push me into the ground or anything. If it does, I'm going to have to move my teleporter. I'll put it outside, like on the landing pad or something. Seems like I'm going to warp in just fine. That's filling up, that's filling up. I do want to just take a quick peek at my power, though. Oh, I want to put down a cloaking unit, too. Oh, and delete this. Do another upload. And while I'm here, I'm gonna change my ship as well. That way I don't forget to do it. Going to warp directly to that last planet. Should be this one. Oh, it's actually taking screenshots. I wonder how long that's going to work. Last time that was working, it lasted about 2 weeks when I stopped working. So I would expect it to probably be the same this time around too. It almost seems like they roll back updates at times. So I don't know if they do or not, but it sure seems like it. Yeah, like over here I've got a ton of hot spots I have to get to. Some of them are really long stretches too. So I'm probably gonna do that stuff off stream, because it'll literally be doing, it'll be me doing that for like 2-3 hours, just stretching out with walls. My electric's really far away, so I'm going to start with that first. That way I can pull an electric line all the way back here. But I'm going to need, let's see here, that's going to be 4 extractors. Probably another 4 extractors, just so I can keep an even number. Actually, I probably won't even need that. I might be able to get away with just 1 or 2 extractors for oxygen. I don't know what the hotspot value is. I think it's probably a C class, though. Dioxide, I'm going to need 1. Cobalt, I'm only going to need 1 also. So I don't need a lot of power. I think I get get away with maybe 1,500 will probably be plenty. Because inside of here, I'm also gonna need to build carbon planters. I'm gonna need some type of lighting, so there will be some added electrical stuff to it. But I think I can be fine with like 1,500. I might stretch it up to like 1,700 just to be safe. But worst comes to worst, if I don't have enough, I'll just throw down a couple more electromagnetic generators. But yeah, I'm gonna have to stretch all these. That one won't be bad, but the oxygen's gonna be rough trying to get to, and so is in the electrical. So I'll probably do all that off stream, and then work on the actual base I'll probably do on stream. But first I need to figure out my oxygen and carbon cobalt ratios. So, but I think that's going to do it for me today, guys. I'm going to try to get on tomorrow for a little bit, get started on this. I don't know if I'll finish the whole thing though, because this base is more complex than the other one, but it's not really complex, it's just trying to figure out the layouts, so. And I have no idea what I want to build here either, so. Alright, well, I'm gonna jump on out, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in, I appreciate it, and I will see you next time. You have a good day.